Well, hello and welcome. Hello. I'm still eating my dinner, so you'll have to apologize to me. And I've come on a few minutes early because you're not going to believe what I've just seen. So I've given a bit of an outline. I was going to update some Hillsong stuff, but did you know there was something happened at court today? Barilaro and Google had a case management hearing today, and you wouldn't believe what happened. You ready for this? Google admits John Barilaro was defamed in YouTube videos. Internet giant Google has agreed it published defamatory videos about former New South Wales Deputy Premier Joe in 2 YouTube videos, and when the case proceeds to trial next week, it will mainly explore how much should be paid in damages. No way. Mr. Barilaro sued Google, which owns YouTube, a political commentator Jordan Shanks, in federal court last year, alleging he was defamed by videos published on the Friendly Jordies channel titled Bruz and Secret Dictatorship. He argued one of the videos defamed him by portraying him as a corrupt con man who committed perjury 9 times, should be jailed, corruptly gave $3.3 billion to a beef company, and corruptly voted against the Royal Commission to war theft. Mr. Barilaro argued the videos wrongly suggested he blackmailed councillors at Narrandera in New South Wales River region using taxpayer money and pocketed millions of dollars stolen from council. He settled the case against Mr. Shanks in November last year, with Mr. Shanks apologising through his barrister and editing parts of the 2 videos. Google did not settle, initially arguing a range of defences, including qualified and honest opinion. On Friday, Mr. Barilaro's barrister told the court those defences have now been dropped, and the only defence left is public interest, which can only apply which can only apply after July 1, 2021, when the new Defamation Act came into force. Ms. Chrisley said this means Google has no defence for the rest of the time the videos were published from December 2020 and June 2021, and belatedly admitted on Friday morning conveyed in the videos were defamatory. We now have a situation where from December 2020 to June 30, 2021, publication is admitted by Google. It is now admitted the imputations, all of them are carried and defamatory. It is accepted there are no defences to that 7 months or 6 months of publication. The only defence that's left is 29A, the new public interest defence from July 1 last year. There's going to be a bit of an argument about whether that can even apply. But now this is now an assessment of damages. We ask that Your Honour enter judgment today for Mr. Barilaro. Frankly, that should have happened 7 months ago. So Ms. Chrisley suggested that a judgment could be entered with the wording judgment for the applicant John Barilaro against Google LLC for the publication of the first and second matters complained of up until the 30th of June 2021. However, Google's barrister said that it was unnecessarily inflammatory, and if a judgment should be entered, it should be done in an orderly way after discussions at trial next week. He said that his client had dropped most of our defences, save for one that is fairly limited in scope, and there is no defence to part of the period of the publication of these videos. Justice Reyes declined to enter judgment Friday, saying the application should be made in an orderly way. He said the case is crying for an intelligent assessment of a commercial resolution, and it is staggering that the parties have not been able to find one. But that's a matter for them. Ms. Chrisley said Google maintained improper denial of the case and put forward defences that were doomed to fail, arguing honest opinion when Justice Reyes had ruled in a preliminary judgment that it was impermissible due to parliamentary privilege. This is really a damages assessment, should take 3 to 4 days. The shortened trial will begin with opening statements, the videos being played to Justice Reyes in their entirety, one witness appearing for Google to argue the remaining defence. You'll also hear from Mr. Barilaro, who will give evidence about hurt feelings. And some characteristics. A previous barrister for Google said last year Mr. Shakes, who appeared in the videos, would be likely to be called to give evidence. However, Mr. Kafethu said this course had been abandoned. The defamation trial will start on Monday. So there you go. I found that to be really staggering. I don't know about you. However, so that was that one. And then there's this one. Then there's this article. Because there's all sorts of things related around bruz at the moment too. You know, what happens if ICAC gets involved and decides he is a corrupt con man? Does that mean Google then gets a reprieve? I would say they were inflammatory. They weren't defamatory. I don't know. How's 100,000 sound? John Barilaro directed grants to marginal seats. Exclusive 70% of discretionary funds from the Deputy Premier went to coalition seats. Former New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro directed millions of dollars in grants to coalition electorates, many of them at-risk National Party seats, from a discretionary pool of funds which almost have no departmental oversight. An analysis of the discretionary funds handed out by Barilaro during the past 3 years shows that 70% of the $3 million went to coalition seats. Recipients have included his successor in the seat of Monaro, Nicole Overall, as well as the NRL and the soccer club where Barilaro was president for 8 years. Oh no, nothing suspicious about this. In particular, the use of discretionary funds in seats in the lead up to elections have raised questions about how grants operate and a lack of oversight by government departments. In some cases, recipients said they were asked by Barilaro himself to submit funding requests to his office. In the lead up to last May's Upper Hunter by-election, the Nationals made some $120 million in funding promises as it successfully held the seat after resignation of former MP Michael Johnson. Among them were a series of significant announcements, including $45 million upgrade of the Muzz Wellbrook Hospital and $12 million for a police station in the town of Singleton. But the pre-election also included a series of grants to local organisations that were not subject to departmental advice or recommendations. The Upper Hunter received $340,000 in grants from Barilaro in the last financial year, about a fifth of the total money distributed under a fund known as the Deputy Premier's Discretionary or Miscellaneous Funds. Among the grants were $200,000 given to the Muswell Golf Club in the weeks leading up to the vote. The grant, followed by a separate $1 million payment in 2019, was announced just by Barilaro just days before the by-election. Club President Daryl Egan told The Guardian a cost blowout meant the course needed additional funding to complete the work, and that he raised the prospect of securing money. Barilaro was in town during the by-election. We were talking to the Deputy Premier, and he asked how it was going. I told him that yes, because of COVID and a few other things, the cost had increased. Egan said he was asked to write a letter explaining the need for additional funding and that it had been secured within a few weeks. The funding was not without any requirements. Egan said after the money was provided, the club was required to provide evidence to the department showing what it had been spent on, but it did not require a formal application. So, also he announced $100,000 grant to a local networking organisation in the Upper Hunter Women in Business. The funds were delivered over 2 separate years. We got a phone call today from John basically asking if we'd like some funding, and he said, how about $100,000? Mr. Barilaro, you didn't ring me. Labor Shadow Treasurer Daniel Mukai accused the Nationals of doing their best Santa Claus impression before the by-election. Other communities missed out. So a pattern's been repeated elsewhere in other seats. So February, the Auditor General released a scathing report into a $252 million grant scheme, which directed more than 95% of funds to local governments in government seats. The fund the auditor found lacked integrity and did not use any consistent guidelines in awarding funds. So this is the interesting thing, where now the current person, the person that took over Bruz's seat, Nicole Overall, her husband was the mayor of Queemian until very recently. He gave up that when she became the local member. So Barilaro, it says it followed 78,000 of funds he allocated to the club under the now defunct community building partnerships. He faced criticism for his failure to declare a conflict of interest over the grant, which he dismissed because he was not in the office bearer at the club when the money was awarded. So there are some questions to be asked. I mean, there's some questions being asked about the way Bruz awarded funding to people, but he's taken to Google for had a video there that showed that he was a corrupt con man. So they're saying that I'm just going to see whether they've still got this. They've still got the 10 days. They've not changed the court listings. Everything is still appearing as if it was. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. So there's only going to be one witness for Google, and the rest are character witnesses for Bruz. And he's going to give a witness himself. And talk about how hurt his feeling was. You know what? Without a lawyer, Peter, I wish too. I wish I was mates with them because I could do some funding. I could really do with the money. Imagine getting a phone call from him to say, hey, how much money do you want? There's 100 grand. Would 100 grand do? No, mate. Can you double it? So when I was going to do a Bruz update, I was just going to talk about the fact that court started on Monday. I didn't know that it was starting today. So that's very interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that I wonder why Google changed their play. I wanted Google to wipe the floor with him. I wanted Google to wipe the floor with him because I was really wanting to see all the dirty laundry come out, like we're seeing in the Ben Robert Smith case. So, hey, I got mentioned in one of the accounts again that's come out against KJ, which is interesting. I'll show you that later. I'm just looking for the other story I had today. So we know that Brian Houston has been in some key step down earlier in the year because of the fact that there's an investigation. He's got caught about being charged with not supporting SA. Well, today there was a meeting and there was a letter sent out to the members of the church. So he breached code of conduct. So there's a new international head, Phil Dooley, has replaced Brian Houston. So Hillsong Church says founder Brian Houston breached its code of conduct with the organization, apologizing unreservedly to 2 women who complained about his inappropriate behavior. The Hillsong Global Board on Friday afternoon sent a letter to church members leaked to the ABC about complaints made about Mr. Houston's conduct in 2013 and 2019. I mean, there are questions that you need to ask that I think need to be asked here. And yes, it's one thing to say that we're going to give grace and everything, but again, at what point do we say the line's been crossed? So the letter detailed Houston's discretions. We have sadly been dealing with 2 complaints made against Pastor Brian over the last 10 years. The first incident involved an inappropriate text message sent to a female staffer, which led to her resigning. In the video, it was said the texts were along the lines of, "If I was with you, I'd like to kiss and cuddle you," words of that nature. That might be the G-rated version. I don't know. He immediately apologized to the person. We also worked with Pastor Brian to ensure he received professional help to eliminate his dependency on, he had some sleep. So that was blamed on dependency on sleeping tablets. So they sent him to get some professional help. It sounds like another story that we've just seen recently. So they sent him off to get some help to eliminate his dependency on them, and this was achieved successfully. Oh, thank you, Bella. Mr. Dooley said the female staffer who was upset and felt awkward made a complaint to the general manager. When she returned, she told the church she was unable to find employment after resigning, and Mr. Houston paid a couple of months' salary as compensation from his own pocket. Now, the 2019 incident is really interesting because it was at the Kudos Bank Arena in Homebush, where Prime Minister Scott Morrison opened it. So Mr. Houston allegedly met the woman in the foyer of the hotel. It was after one of the conference nights and he was drinking with a group. He attempted to get into his room but didn't have his room key and ended up knocking on the door to a woman's room. She opened the door and he went into the room. The truth is we don't know what happened. The woman said there was nothing happened. Brian said nothing happened. He was in the room for 40 minutes. So the investigation that they did said that he became disorientated following a consumption of anti-anxiety medication beyond the prescribed dose mixed with alcohol. So he breached the code. We acknowledge that this person did not deserve to be placed in the situation. After the incident, the woman's conference, the woman, conference-free and her Kingdom Builder donation were returned. Both were personally paid by Mr. Houston. So, so they paid for her conference fee. He took 3 months off, promising to abstain from alcohol. He didn't abide by that. So they know of 3 separate occasions where he consumed alcohol. He stepped down as director of Hillsong boards earlier this year to defend the charge that he concealed his father, SA. In December, Hillsong's external legal counsel gave the board advice on the. So it's a good thing the lawyers stepped in. So anyway, so they've denied any allegations of a cover-up. Told the media it was important to anyone who came to the church to feel safe. We're deeply sorry to the victims. So here's the thing. What do you think happened in that room? Apparently, I mean, they were both drunk. I've heard a bit about the live stream. I've seen a little bit about the live stream. I bet it's a bit of a doozy from what I hear. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought KJ would have jumped all over this Brian Houston stuff. She hasn't touched it. So it's unbelievable. She's also poked the Todd Chrisley bear. She's reporting on his court case. Don't poke the bear. Have you read the book of Genesis? I have, actually. Yes. So anyway, that is what's happening in Hillsong. So Brian Houston's got some other things to now deal with, not just the other allegations. So what do you think of what we've seen so far? Are you shocked with Google? Google surprises me. Let me just turn my camera off for a moment. The Google giving up defenses has really surprised me. It shocked me. It really did. We won't go there. So that means Bruz is going to get money. Now, did anyone see the Friendly Jordies video today? He's going on the road up to the flood areas. Well, Scotty from marketing wanted to take Brian Houston to the White House. And don't forget, hi Bo. He has been Scotty's spiritual advisor. Is that why the prayer room's been getting a bit of use? Oh, I had to go there, didn't I? Whoops. Do you find it hard to believe that neither remembers what happened in that room? Or is it usual not to remember stuff? And how did I know he's only in there for 40 minutes? If he didn't remember. That's funny, Bo. What was I going to say? 40 minutes. This, Bo. So we just had a report today about Brian Houston. Oh, 40 minutes is enough time, is it, the FOSS? I am so naive. It's come out that there were 2 inappropriate code of conduct matters involving women with Brian Houston. And the second one, it was after a one night of conference and he was drinking with a group. He attempted to get into his room. He attempted to get into his room but didn't have a room key, ended up knocking on the door to the woman's room. She opened the door and he went in. The truth is, we don't know what happened. The woman said there was no anything. Brian said that, but he was in there for 40 minutes. So I'm saying he doesn't remember what happened, but he only knows he was in there for 40 minutes. That's my question. How did he know it was 40 minutes? That's my question. Wouldn't you remember the other stuff? That's all I'm asking. And the fact that they paid her conference fee and all the donations she made, that she paid it, could that be seen as a payment? So that's my point. So, Bo, yeah, you're right. If you know how long, you'd know what happened, don't you? See, that's what I'm saying. So I'm questioning that aspect of it. Insert advert Duracell lasts longer than 40 minutes. So oh. Peter. It's funny. Hey, plan to create. So, wrong thing. Yeah. Hello, plan to create. We're trying to decide if you know how long you're in somebody's room for, you would know whether anything happened or not. We're talking about this article here. that, and then she found. So the board found that the investigation that the board made found that he became disorientated following the consumption of anti-anxiety medication beyond the prescribed dose mixed with alcohol. We also acknowledge that this person did not deserve to be placed in the situation she found herself in. So that's what I want to know. I want someone to tell me how he knew, how they don't know what happened, but they know that the duration was 40 minutes. Anyway. So the other bit of news plan to create was that Google admits that John Barilaro was defamed in YouTube videos. So I'm laughing under my breath. And anyway, well, Hillsong is saying it's not a cover-up, but again, it's just funny that it's all coming out now. So I just, again, I'm just very skeptical of stuff that comes out. It's like the journalist that got sacked from Fox. I'm not condoning what he said. I'm very skeptical about the timing of the leaked audio where he said something about a woman. When is without a lawyer correct? I don't know. I know nothing, and I won't admit to anything. While I don't condone what the guy said, I find it very suspicious that after the altercation with the football coach, the audio gets leaked out the next day. That's what I find very suspicious. So, it's timing. Just goes to show, though, you can't have private conversations with people these days. You don't know who's going to record it and who's going to play it back to you. Okay, not cover up, pay off without a shut up. Yeah, well, they did pay a conference fee. And Brian Houston also had texted somebody about what he wanted to do to her, and he ended up paying for her salary. Whatever. Okay. No, I'm sitting here shaking my head. Okay. So we know that there's an issue. Katie Joy's got her. No, I haven't had it verified. I haven't been able to find the verification, but I heard that Katie Joy's TROs were all withdrawn. There's been no I haven't seen any official confirmation. I've just heard it in the YouTube traps. A non-disclosure agreement. So she's last night I shared an update on Todd and Julie Chrisley's criminal case. Due to the way the story has been covered online, I believe some people believe the case has been dismissed. But of course, she's going to make sure that everyone knows that it hasn't. The new indictment. Court records show Julie and Todd Chrisley were arraigned on the March 3rd, 2022 and pled not guilty, including portions of the new indictment showing the charges, dates of indictments and details. The whole indictment is 28 pages. The couple is presumed innocent until proven guilty. The U.S. attorney said in 2019 that both Julie and Todd are facing 30 years in prison. The jury is scheduled to start on May 16, 2022. So, this is what is going to stuff her up. She sent out those 12-page shut up letters and then has it. That's exactly correct without a lawyer. Just because you have information on somebody that's suing you doesn't mean that you put it out there, correct? So there's that, and then she's had 2 stories on them. Then she's talking about Robert Shin, all of this, and then she's got Josh Duggar's sentencing. That's coming up. That's on the 5th of April. I saw someone in comments claim that I've been silenced by the Duggars. This is not true. And apparently she's been doing a Duggar video daily for months. Are you going to go live that day? I hope that everyone is talking about everyone's saying, I hope he goes for the max, because remember, she's been telling everybody that, it's 40 years, but it could be anywhere from 8 to 15. I'll be very surprised if it's more than 10, because I don't believe, this is just my opinion, I don't believe that if he was going to get more than 10, that they would have done the trial. They would have done the trial if they would have only have done the trial if they knew that they were going to get less than 10. So it's my opinion, and based on what I've been learning, it seems to be the most logical thing, because over here, I know he didn't plead guilty, but it's he didn't make it. He was watching it, and it was on his computer. In the scope of things, it's sort of mild. I know that it doesn't make it any difference, but So you can't make up your mind between Meat Lovers or Supreme. I like both of them. Of what is going on. Yes, that's right. So have you partnered with this Instagram user to promote your products? Seems like false advertising on her part. Why are you doing it? If it's not marked an ad, then it's not a paid partnership. So somebody posts a picture of them enjoying a lipstick product, and they're asking whether they're partnered up with that person. Gee whiz. Oh, look. I've got a can of Coke in my hand. You better ask Coca-Cola whether they've signed up a partnership with me. Oh dear, I'm in that mood. Oh dear. So, but she keeps saying that it's not about Robert Shin is unnecessarily pathetic for doing this. A real manager would end this by issuing a statement, not leave damage control to the talent. But I thought it wasn't about. I thought it wasn't about Miranda. But how many videos? Look, Miranda again. Why is it always people watching these dances? It's freaky. But the guy didn't appear in any other videos. Where's he come from? Anyway, we are hearing it. So for somebody that says they're not doing anything with Miranda, so there's this. This is what I found. This is what I came across the other day. So this is I don't know who's behind it. It's called Without a Crystal Ball or Clue. Now, KJ is a fungus infection, this one says. So, for what are called 4 common fungal infections: athlete feet, yeast infection, jock itch, ringworm. How to treat fungal infection: shower immediately after reading KJ's posts. Change your clothes daily after encountering KJ's lies. Fungal infection, KJF is bad for your health. Consult your physician for further details. Which one of Shin's girlfriends wrote this? First of all, where is your source? Where does it say it was written? Oh, I'm here. I'm here. Didn't show properly. Let me see if I can redo it. All right. So the fiction of KJ. So it talks about where you can go. I know for a fact her subs are, but fake stock accounts. But this is new to Crystal Ball Without a Crystal Ball, aka Katie Joy. Here's where you can learn more on YouTube. And yours truly appears here. I was quite a bit shocked because I've gone away from her a lot. There I am, second last. Yay! And that's fine. I'm okay with that, by the way. I'm happy to be second last. And then it's obsessed. This one says obsessed with Miranda, because she claims she's not obsessed. And of course, Llama Girl's getting a shout out here. She's done 197 posts on YouTube, on Instagram. She's not obsessed. Okay. Now this was interesting. KJ quotes Lydia's allegations that she was forced to work 6 days a week and over 8 hours a day without pay. Lydia failed to mention that she was the owner of the flower shop. Lydia was the owner-employee. If an employee, Lydia, is not paid by the employer, Lydia, then the employer should file a grievance against her employer. Okay. Oh, really? Are they? They're hiding? Oh, that's all right. They're allowed to hide. So, although I wish they'd hit the subscribe, because my sister, like, every time I log on, every time I refresh, my sub count goes down. I thought sub counts were supposed to go up, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm okay with that. I know I'm too much for some people. All right. So let's go and see what Llama Girl, need to give a shout out to Llama Girl, because she's done the Lord's work. Now, we're going to find out some interesting things. We're going to find out, apparently, that even though KJ says she doesn't believe in astrology, she apparently is astrology. All right. Too lazy to type. Hi, Ellie. All right. So her live was almost 2 hours. Oh, dear me. We'll go for as long until I've had enough. All right. Here we go.
Hello. Hi. How is everyone? Hello. I haven't been live on Instagram all week. Hi. So, I've been so busy today. Hi. Alabama. From Miami. Hi, Nettie. Oh, Nettie. Hi, Laura. I know, Nettie, it's been forever. Hi, Dara. I'm Web. Hi, Maria. I'm good. How are you? Connecticut. Hi, Jesse. North Carolina, Ontario, Michigan, St. Patrick's Day. I know. Hi, Nicole. Glow Oily Mom. Hi. Yeah, so I only got one video done today because I was in a production meeting tonight. So, yeah, lots of work. Lots of work. Kansas, Rhode Island. I've been to Rhode Island once. Northwest Arkansas. Say hi to the Duggars to me. Stop by Washington County Jail and send Josh Duggar the bird. Hi, Tristan. Haven't heard from you in a minute. Seattle, Australia. Oh my goodness, look at all you guys. Angie. Okay, so I don't even know what I was going to talk about today. I have been reading court records, you guys. That's like literally what my life has been like the last few weeks. It's just reading court records and court records and court records. Trying to.
I read court records all day too.
Today that's working on something. So I know they're dissect.
Hi, totally clueless.
Dissect. There's some pretty. I know a bunch of people were in my inbox saying like, aren't bigger outlets going to pick this up? And I spoke to a pretty large online digital company today that's working on something. So I know they're working on something, and we are working on something as well. So that's what we're working on right now. And I'm just trying to be supportive to everyone. So I keep things professional. I don't want to make this a situation of like, are you still talking to someone? Are you not still talking to someone? Because this isn't drama or tea. It's not like what I'm doing is not a part of the story. But I still support the Wilkins, and I think I briefly spoke to Melanie yesterday. So, but let's not make this a story about Katie versus Miranda, because that's not what this is about. This is a story about Robert Shin. So today, I was learning about a backstory. Do you want to hear a story? Do you want to hear a story? Okay, let's hear a story. So if I'm getting smeared, that's really good. That means that I'm doing the right stuff. So smear away. The more they smear me and the less they answer questions, that means we're doing the right thing and we're just reporting the truth. The more they smear, the better it's working. The more you get to them, the better it works. Okay. You got your wine? Okay. Story time. So I was reading through some court records, and Robert, who grew up, and this is a tale about a man named Robert who grew up in Ontario. And I don't know a lot about his childhood life, but I do know that he had big dreams and aspirations for his life. And he got a scholarship, and he went to college, and he got pre-med, and he graduated, and he became a doctor. And in 1986, he decided he was going to open his own practice. He got married, and he had a couple babies, one of them being Chloe. His first wife and 2 kids and a budding private practice as a doctor apparently wasn't cutting it, because in 1991, according to his own words, he decided that he got saved from God. And when he was saved by God, he cried out to God, and God gave him and told him everything was forgiven. And he decided at that moment he was going to dedicate his life to God, and somehow decided he was going to become a pastor without any seminary, without any training, and without any actual education in theology. Robert was saved in 91, and by 94 was declaring himself equipped to manage and pastoral other people's faith. That, my friends, is what you call a con man. Nobody with less than 3 years of faith is equipped to manage anybody else's faith journey. And most people that study theology will tell you that it takes years and years and years to get a good handle on how to adequately teach.
KJ, once upon a time, there were no Bible colleges, there were no Bible schools, and people would go get saved, and they would go and they would tell people about their story. I thought you said that you read the Bible, because if you had read the Bible, you would know that the disciples they spent some time with Jesus, and then when he rose again, Paul the Apostle, one of the great writers of the Bible, had no formal theological training. Some of the great heroes of faith had no formal seminary training. Even the guy that wrote Amazing Grace had no seminary training.
And be responsible with.
But let's not just make the truth, let's just not, let the truth stand in the way of our good story. Abbott was going to be a monk.
Teaching the Bible. There's a responsibility of pastors to be really mindful of the people that they have in their community and that are looking up to them as spiritual leaders.
Yeah, Joan of Arc. I'm sure if we went through, we could come and name lots of people that had no training, a formal training, but yet were influential in the world. She's just looking for an angle, and so she's prepared to make it. She's prepared for that any angle that she wants. KJ wanted to learn to be a pastor at her cult church, so she's one to talk. True. Well, didn't she say she was leading Bible study? She was doing all that stuff in less than 3 years.
And as guiders, they are entrusted with so much of people's lives. And the last thing that somebody wants when they're coming to you in their darkest time is to have someone take advantage of them. But Robert's plans were not to be a pastor. Robert just wanted to be rich. And Robert wanted money.
Where does she go? Where's that?
Raising the two kids. And Chloe has a unstable childhood with no relationship with her father. Meanwhile, Robert comes here and he meets Esther and somehow becomes a citizen, even though he doesn't practice medicine. And he founds a church within 2 years of coming to LA, which was in 92. He moved from Canada to Los Angeles. By 94, he opens a church. So Robert then goes on to have 2 children with Esther, Isaiah and Elias. And Elias is 1 year younger than Isaiah. Robert has 3 siblings that are also in California. He has his sister Catherine, he has his sister Julie, and he has his brother Paul. Paul and Julie want nothing to do with Robert's faith life. They're not interested in it. They don't want to be a part of it. But Catherine's interested. And so Catherine becomes his right-hand woman. And they decide to start a church. And they hit the jackpot in the...
There's lots of people in the family that don't follow faith. It's no big deal.
Conquest to become famous when they stumbled upon a newly immigrated woman named Lydia, who came from a very wealthy family in Korea, and she had a husband and 2 beautiful children. And all she was looking for was a community and a place to meet friends. She new to the country, didn't speak the best English, 2 young children, looking for guidance, looking for community. Her parents, extremely wealthy. She is glommed onto by Robert. And he realizes and learns quickly that Lydia is sitting on a fortune because she is a trustee to millions of dollars in Korea. And so he takes her over years, convinces her that her husband is possessed by the devil because, why? Oh, because her husband didn't like Robert and didn't like the church. So he convinces her that her husband is demonic and she needs to divorce him. Lydia, who is going through all kinds of changes, having immigrated and feeling isolated, trusts Robert, believes Robert, and subsequently divorces her husband. Robert then takes her and her two girls and tells her she needs to move into a home. And in 2000, Robert tells the congregation that he is God. Robert begins referring to himself as the man of God, and Catherine starts referring to herself as the woman of God. They have the women and the men living in separate homes, and they tell them, according to court records, that they need to get rid of their families, get rid of all of their friends and all outside distractions, and dedicate themselves full time to the ministry. And they're all going to work together.
It's not unusual to have men and women separated, particularly if they're single. I mean, you go to youth camps, you have the girls in one area and the boys in another. Like, hello. Yes, God does tell us not to judge. Okay, thank you very much, Llama Girl. Correct. I only wish on Twitter would speed up the videos like YouTube. I know.
To build a sanctuary for God. So
that's what they did. That's what they did in the Old Testament. They built a temple for God. It happens. And what do you think a mosque is? A mosque or a temple? KJ has to. Well, that is true, and she's got some stuff coming up, I believe.
A sanctuary for God. So, during this time, they are manipulating Lydia, further isolating her from friends, and gaining access to her bank accounts, as well as Catherine, his sister, is taking Lydia with her to Korea so Lydia can draw money from her trust. Catherine sets up wire accounts with other church members for Lydia to wire funds from her parents' trust to her friends in the church in California. And then those friends send gifts to Robert Shin to the tune of millions of dollars. Robert also decides during this time he's going to start a real estate company, but he's not a licensed realtor. He doesn't have a brokerage license, and he has no experience in finance. It's basically a shell company. There's no money generated from Shekinah Church other than donations that come from Lydia's trust. Lydia's trust is literally liquefied, demolished, and $4.7 million is spent in less than 8 years. She gets none of the money back because under the First Amendment, the government didn't want to get involved in her under a sham company as a sham pastor, posing as a pastor, was really just a con man that was after her cash, manipulated her during a really tough time, isolated her, and then coerced her. They got her bank account records, you guys. They were forging documents. They were forging her name on transfers. They were going into her bank accounts and transferring money under the premise that it was for God's glory.
She hasn't said the word allegedly, has she?
They were wiring funds from her bank account into shell companies that Robert set up. And then Robert was taking the money from the shell companies and paying himself a salary. During the time that Robert was taking money from Lydia, he bought real estate. He bought $1 million in shares of fucking wouldn't.
Whoa, excuse me.
In Canada of stock. He paid for his girlfriend, who was 19 when he met her. He was married, and he found a way to pay for Shirley Kim to go to school and get her law degree. Robert was 46 He was still married to Esther when he started messing around with 20-year-old Shirley. And then while Shirley was basically his concubine, Lydia was paying for her to go to college and go to law school. Then Esther leaves him. I mean, who fucking wouldn't? Who wouldn't leave a man that's fucking a 19-year-old or 20-year-old right in your face?
She's really... Maybe they were following polygamy. I don't know. Oh, boy. She sounds quite jealous, actually.
And on top of that, not only is he messing around with Shirley, he's hitting on other women in the church too. Because Robert gets what he wants. You see? He's people's mentor and he's people's spiritual guide. And if Robert wants his dick rubbed, what are you going to do? He's the man of God. In 2008, he propositions Lydia for a rub in an inappropriate place, allegedly. And that causes her to wake up.
She finally said allegedly. She sounds very jealous, in my opinion, the fox.
There's a split in the church. Catherine takes half the congregation with her. Robert is...
Brian Houston needs to learn these words to describe his 40 minutes. But, Peter, it's a blur. He doesn't know what happened in those 40 minutes. That's the whole point. We don't know it. All he knows is he was in the room for 40 minutes. Drunk and on drugs. He doesn't remember anything else.
Left penniless. Every penny of money that he stole from Lydia was gone. His sister declared bankruptcy. There's nothing. But Robert had a dream, you guys. He was going to recreate that cult that he had control over where they made all that money for him. And he was going to do it on a grander scale. He was going to build a commune. And it was going to be a place where artists would come to him, pay him rent. He would control their careers. He would control where they lived. And he would take all of their money. And here we are today. Robert has, I don't even know, 10, maybe more dancers under his control who believe he is God, who he has told, as long as you stay by me, you will make money.
Stay by me when you're not strong.
I might hurt your family.
As I said, with the whole Brian Hughes, with with all the news coming out of Hillsong, she didn't touch the story at all. I'm so surprised because that's right up her alley, her favorite subject.
I will make you rich. If you don't stay with me, you will be cursed. I might hurt your family. I might not. Robert is a dangerous man because on top of the sexual commingling of sleeping with the women at church and having 4 wives and sleeping with other women at church while he's married and having affairs with other women and young women at that, he's messing with people's financial lives. He's controlling who they can be friends with. He's telling them who to cut out and cut in and who they can even speak to. He's telling them that they're anointed by God, and so no one will understand them more than him. He keeps no records of donations to the church. There's no oversight. He controls everything. He is the CEO of the church. He's the CEO of the management company. He is the CEO of every company that these people are involved in. No one is above Robert. Nobody is putting Robert in check, and Robert isn't telling these dancers the money that's being made. Robert already lifted $4.7 million from Lydia. Lightning doesn't strike twice by accident. Like, And his real estate companies are a front. Robert's realtors don't sell that many properties. Shin Realty has absolutely no listings pending. They haven't sold a house since 2019, and they sold a total of 40 homes. They do not sell luxury homes. They sell homes in Irvine, in Long Beach, in Orange County. I would say it's not dealing with the Malibu listings that you're seeing in these pictures.
Oh, that's a crime to be selling normal homes, is it? Is that what she's complaining about? That they're not selling Malibu listings? But didn't she complain the other time that they were suburban? They weren't in Malibu. They lived in the cheap part of California. Oh, dear me.
So right now, there's so much more. There's so much more we're uncovering. But the key for this to really, really come forward and really sort of fall and like topple by Robert, those victims.
So they're victims.
Is for those people that were hurt by Robert, those victims that were in his group in the early 2000s, who were forced to work for no money, who were forced to live in homes separated from their family and their friends. For those people to know that we need them to come forward to help us stop Robert, because their stories will validate what we already know is happening. We need them to be able to speak, and I know they're scared. You guys, these people are terrified of Robert. There is something so sinister that happened in 2008 that people will not even talk about it. 3 separate people have described what happened in 2008 as though it was like a murder. Like, it was so dark. And I'm not saying he murdered anyone, but that's how the cloud around this was so dark that whatever happened in 2008 was so bad that nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody.
Well, they don't want to tell you.
No one wants to say what happened. Something really, really bad happened in 2008. And this is why there's fear for these dancers. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
They don't want to tell you.
But what we do know is that the Shins are controlling the social media. They're controlling the posts. What you see from them posting is programmed versions of the people that you once knew were your friends. They're being brainwashed, controlled. They're intoxicated by the money that Robert is telling them that they're making. And they all came from backgrounds where they were vulnerable. They had economic instability. They came from abusive houses. They had moved to California.
Was the sound better then?
I know that there's like these troll accounts that are doing like troll pages in response to the troll pages that the cult is creating to smear me and to smear Kelly. Don't play their games. Just don't. Like, I don't want to be associated with anything where we're making really evil memes to make fun of people. Because, you know, even if Shirley Kim is dangerous today, even if she's doing dirty work for Robert, she was one of his victims. So was Daniel Papagallo Joseph. So was Chloe. Chloe came to California as an adult because all she did was wanted a relationship with her father. And her father warped her into this twisted ass world. Daniel wanted money. He wanted to make money with his pastor. Daniel gave up his entire family. Shirley came from a tough upbringing with not a good support system. They were once his victims. It's easy to like hate on the people and say like, oh, they're evil, they're doing this and they're doing that. But don't play the nasty game of turning this into a meme or turning this into a sideshow where it's funny to get them to...
It's a bit late about the sideshow. She's already turned it into a sideshow.
Pop off or argue. They're not going to say anything that you... Of course they're going to defend the situation. They're going to deflect because Robert's telling them what to post. I'm sure Daniel's telling them. Someone's telling them what to post. They're never going to answer about what Robert is doing. They're going to pretend like Robert's not even involved, like he doesn't exist. But this isn't funny and it's not a joke.
No one's laughing. Well, I can't wait to hear what happened.
Records, Jennifer.
I can't wait to hear KJ fill out the 40 minutes on for Brian Houston. Oh dear. I'm sure she'll be able to get the missing 40 minutes for us. She's an investigative.
I can't report stuff that's past the statute of limitations. And also, if I was going to report them, the last thing I would do would be to publicly tell any of you people what's going on. Because do you think that I would place myself in danger?
But you are. You are telling everybody. Like,
people publicly I'm going to report him to the IRS. Do you know that could probably get me killed? It's really easy to point fingers at the guys involved. It's easy to point fingers at the complacency of some of the dancers. But do you understand how dangerous these people are? Do you understand how dangerous these people are? There's lots and lots and lots of car accidents involving personal injuries. I have a feeling the Shins like to chase people with cars, but I haven't been able to prove it yet. I have a feeling they might be trying to chase people off the road.
Mm.
And we also know that they have a lot of guns. I don't feel in danger about talking about this, but I'm certainly not going to. I think the biggest thing to remember for everyone is I'm not going to put anyone in danger. That's a source. I'm not going to place anyone that's providing information in a situation where they could get marked or killed. I'm not going to out someone because it makes the story more credible. I can't force people to go public that aren't ready. When you cover cults like this, it takes a long time to build trust with people because they've already been taken advantage of. They're hurting. Their lives have been torn apart by someone else, and they don't trust people easily. And I'm not here to make their lives harder or put their lives at risk.
I don't know. Now she tie in Lady Diana and then Elvis because she will find proof of peanut butter sandwich. I actually was going to make the Princess Di connection, Peter, and I just was really shocked by what I was hearing.
So what I would encourage you to do is not try to find Lydia. Leave her alone. Don't search her. Don't try to contact her.
You've just put her out there. Will says, so let KJP take advantage
put her
of
in
them.
a position where she becomes a marked woman. We have security that's working with us.
No, my footy team played last night and we won.
Don't put her in a position where she becomes a marked woman. We have security that's working with us. So, thankfully, I'm more concerned for my colleagues that are in Los Angeles that are interacting with the Shins than I'm in Minnesota. So don't put the people in danger that are a part of this story. I'm in contact with people that he went to church with. I speak to James's ex-wife. Yeah. But just remember that, like, it's not, I don't know, like, this is very real. I know there's like these conspiracies that this isn't really a real thing, but it's a real thing. And like I said, I don't know if they're running people off the road. All I'm saying is there's a lot of lawsuits that involve personal injuries with cars. Robert has a lot of speeding tickets, like a lot of speeding tickets, to the extent that he got his license suspended. And there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 personal injury lawsuits related to car accidents. That's not normal for one person at all. Like, you're lucky if you get into one wreck in your life, right? I've had fender benders. I'm 43 years old. I've never been in a car accident where anyone has been injured.
Oh no, Rufus! No, don't do coronavirus. That's a good one. But KJ, you actually have to leave the house and drive a car. And do a bit of driving.
I'm 43 years old. I've never been in a car accident where anyone has been injured. And he has had like 4 or 5 lawsuits with personal injuries with like cars. And so have other people in his cult. Cars can be used as weapons. Just remember that. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but I don't think it's an insurance scam. That's not what I'm hearing. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot. So right now, what we're doing is I'm releasing information in a way that I can get you and keep it relevant, because we want to keep the story relevant. We also want to keep them safe, and we want to make sure that the people that come forward aren't put in harm's way. And we don't want to harass any survivors of this group.
Well, she didn't tell everyone she got pulled over for drunk driving.
And it's not anything that's going to happen overnight, right? So nobody wakes up after being brainwashed like this. It takes years. So I was approached by a production company that did Scientology, The Aftermath, and I actually declined their offer. I'm working with a different group, and I think when you find out who I'm working with, you'll be very happy. We're being extremely cautious about this.
When we find about who
Veronica
she's working
Starlight
with.
says hi. Veronica Starlight is like the pit bull. She hates the she always says the felonious trolls. She's always like, I hate those felonious trolls. But my producers tonight told me the fact that I have so many trolls is actually so good for me. They were like proud of all of the fake accounts that are harassing me. Maria says hi too.
But do you think that she's trying to do this for fame?
We're going to be very cautious, but I'll let you guys know when I can tell you. You'll be excited though, I promise.
Because why would they be happy that she's spilling her mouth? Because I wouldn't be.
These people are saying hi to you. Jenny says hi.
I wouldn't be happy that she's.
Tell your producers that I try to see your lives in South America, but the time difference is a problem. They told me that you haven't made it until you have trolls that like literally are starting to mock everything that you do and trying to ruin your reputation. That's like a sign of you're doing the right things. We're working on a production, potentially multifaceted, but yes, television.
When
Series.
will I be famous? When will I get my picture in the paper?
Darla wants you to go to her house and clean.
How much does it pay?
How much does it pay, Darla? I think the end goal for everyone is going to be multifaceted, but I think it's going to be one, that we get these people stuck and trapped by Robert Chin out. They might think they're living the high life, but it's not the high life. The way that they're living is no way to live. Having someone take away and strip your free will and exploit you and traffic you and work you to the bone at his profit.
I mean, the thing is, you can say about the same about Toad. He's working to the bone. How much does he get paid for what he does? Now, I saw a document today just say that she's got 4 employees, which I thought was interesting.
Profit his and line his pockets is that's not work. And to have exploitation happening so visibly in a public sector with dancers that are very visibly known is it's scaring the dance community. It's scaring people that collaborate with them. There's fear that this is going to make an already vulnerable population that struggle to maintain consistent employment and lack a good solid union to have a bad reputation. And they don't want that. And they don't want more victims. When Miranda and James are yelling, just remember that those words are not their own. Those are written. by somebody else. I will say this. If you see, just notice me, for instance. They're smearing me over on those pages.
Yep.
And they're probably saying I've done horrible things. Am I going live to defend myself and say I didn't do that and providing receipts and showing you and going out of my way to show you that I'm not this person?
Not yet. Not yet.
Or am I just like going about my day, doing my job, and being unaffected? Because I know what's being said over there isn't true, right? I used to, when I first started, get really scared about people saying bad things about me online because I thought that if someone lied about me, that the lie would stick. And I thought, well, then everyone's going to think I'm this way. And then I realized the more you grow, it doesn't really matter because there's always going to be people that just think you're a horrible person and they just want to hate you. And it's like their full-time job is to hate you, which is fine. It's a weird hobby, but it happens. And they dedicate their lives to making you their public enemy number one or whatever. And I've gone through stalking and harassment and all of that. And I used to fight against it, and I realized it's a losing battle because in the line of work that I do, it's just so common. I'm a messenger, and so people get really offended because they think I'm attacking people.
I thought she was a journalist. Now she's a messenger. There we go.
And they just get...
She's a messenger.
Swept up in the narratives, and all I'm doing is reporting. So if I've learned anything in the last several years is that the best thing to do in a situation like that is to, when someone is smearing you and you know it's not true, is just to not respond because there's no reason to. You can't prove a negative, so I know it's not true, so why would I even defend it? When I used to try to prove a negative constantly, and I would like hit a wall, and I'd be like, I can't prove a negative. I can't prove something I didn't do, right? But with this situation, you'll notice that anytime something new is revealed, they're responding immediately. We said that Miranda can't drive. How many videos has she made now where she's in a car? And then was Kylie not saying yesterday about how Aubrey was driving this car? And wasn't Isaiah saying that Miranda was the most free because she had her own car and her own house? Miranda doesn't have her own house. Why is a married woman living with Reno? Why is a 25-year-old married woman with a 33-year-old married man living with a 29-year-old guy that's single? What well-to-do?
Because they're renting out a room. KJ, in the real world, it is actually quite common for people to take boarders in to help pay the bills and the rent. Often you'll see couple looking for single roommate. It is what we call normal way of life.
Living with a 29-year-old guy that's single. What seemingly well-to-do influencers need to live with their roommate when they're married? Well, when you're in a church and they're controlling where you're living.
She's got no concept of real life. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? She's stuck in a world. Well, you can prove you didn't do something when you are doing something else. True.
And we pointed out the real estate thing, right? Which, by the way, they are breaking real estate laws. We have been working with realtors who have been
has cheap room to rent, must like hot weather and crocodiles. Try living in Sydney where rent is 50% of your paycheck. That's correct. So, of course, you're going to take a roommate. As I said, she's got no idea what real life is like. Maybe it's an open... Well, that's right. Well, it might be an open marriage.
lawyers who have been explaining to us the laws they are currently breaking in how they're marketing and working with realtors. You cannot market and sell somebody else's property if you don't have a license. You cannot promote for somebody else, because what's B-Dash care about a realtor selling property? And you know who gets in trouble for that? The people that have the license. So the shins, because they have broker's license and they have real estate license, they can't use the dancers to do the work for them. Identities, and that's pretty much what they're trying to do. And it's not the dancers that are going to get in trouble, it's them that are going to get in trouble. So their license could get removed. And California takes it really seriously. There's very, very, very strict laws about who can market and who can sell property. It's not like that, no. So when you sell something, there's real estate like laws. You have to use specific fonts. You have to have license numbers of agents, brokers. Identities need to be known. You have to know the listing number, all of it. It's very strict. They're not doing any of that. And that's pretty much so. Right, Susie, it takes a lot of persistence. Ellen needs to stop promoting them. Twitch and Allison, if you're watching, I heard you were watching, you need to stop promoting them. I know that you might care about these people, but you're not promoting them. I promise you that if everything walked away and they said that they were going to leave, I guarantee you that they will not have access to their social medias. I guarantee you that there's something in their contract that says that they don't own their social media, that the management does. They are so in bed with their managers that they don't have any independence. And isn't it really fucking weird that Miranda, who's 25, is calling herself a brand? I'm like, you just grew your influencer world and you're already saying I'm a brand, and I'm like, it's such a bizarre, her language in today's video is just not, you don't hear get up and going, I'm a brand now, and I cut my hair, and I had longer hair, and now I have short hair, and I was single, and now I'm married, and I'm a brand. Like, do you ever hear me refer to myself as a brand? I am a company. I have an LLC. Do I call myself a brand? No. And her video today actually made it worse for Melanie, because then she's basically saying that she was a liar when she was with Melanie. So that was the whole thing that was on brand. Well, I just pretended like we were a happy family because that was the brand. Well, so this doesn't help Miranda, because, and this isn't Miranda speaking, this is clearly put out by the Shins, and this is why the Shins are ruining her reputation, is because she's telling you she was willing to lie once to pretend that she had a good family. Why would she not lie now, right? So if she was willing to lie to have her brand with her sister, what's to say that she wouldn't lie now to say everything's fine and great? Because that's her brand, right? She said that her brand before was to be a sister duo. Now her brand is to be a married woman in a church. She was willing to lie once, according to the Shins, so she's willing to lie twice. She's telling you in her lie not to trust her. And Robert Shin is telling you not to trust her, but they think they're telling you that you should trust her. And that's sad. And I know that that's not what Melanie and Miranda were about. trademarks. Yep. And no manager wants to have their talent live with them. You guys, that's fucking weird. Okay. On my production team, I have a director in the industry, and I have a talent.
Oh, now she's going to spill her sauces, hey?
And I have a talent agent in the industry, and then I'm working with 2 talent agents and 2 in the industry, and I have a talent agent in the industry, and then I'm working.
Oh, KJ, I have a talent agent too.
With 2 talent agents and 2 managers as sources. Not one of them wants to live with their clients. Not one of them wants to be around their clients 24/7. Not one of them wants to have their clients around constantly or control their lives. Most of them say that they love their clients, but their clients are exhausting. If you know anything about creative people, which I am, we're like on the clock, we're constantly on, like, on.
She's creative.
On the clock, we're constantly on, like, on, which I am. We're like on the clock, we're constantly on, like, on. We're neurotic. We're annoying. Like, no one wants to be around us 24/7. Yeah, it's like bringing home your obnoxious. Nobody wants to be around us like 24/7.
She's
like our brains don't stop working. We're always creating. My husband is like an artist through and through. The man does not stop creating. And I guarantee you, like, if he had a manager, his manager would not want to be around him. I mean, he's constantly making guitars. He's building.
I thought he did have I thought they did have a manager for their album.
Something, he's making something, he's burning wood, he's like, no. We are exhausting people. We're fucking disorganized, we're erratic, we're up and down. Everything's great one day. Next day we're like, I can't do this shit. One day we're happy, the next day we're crying. And creative people need a lot of, as much as we, and I'll tell you another thing about creative people and a lot of influencers that I know. A lot of us are introverts. Because it's hard to be an extrovert and be creative. Because extroverts want to be with people all the time.
Oh boy, a creative person
in their art and creating and making their paintings or their dancing or whatever. But if you're an extrovert, you just want to be with the people. Most creative people I know are deeply introverted and horribly awkward. So for us, the creating is invigorating and it gives us our energy, but then the last thing we want to do is be around people, which is another red flag to me about this group. I love extroverts because I feel like the managers, the agents, the people that are out there like making the deals, the lawyers, I feel like those are the extroverts that are like, they're doing everything for the people. But like, if I'm working on research and I feel myself as a creative because I'm creating content on my channel. I'm doing video editing. I create stuff for my Instagram. I'm writing. I'm filming.
What are you writing?
It's a lot of work.
But that's not being creative.
My husband is a guitarist and a musician, and yes, when he's recording music, it's exhausting. For him, he loves it, but I have to listen to the same riff over and over and over again. Oh, he's eating popcorn. He picked up the toys. Now he's having his. He's a Pisces, he is, and I'm a Scorpio. I said, yeah, my point was explaining creators. Creators are exhausting.
Rufus says a guitarist and a musician. I know that. I do. A guitarist and a musician. Just in case you didn't realize that guitarists are musicians.
We also don't like a lot of people, so we don't play nice in the sandbox. We don't have a lot of friends.
Oh dear me.
He eats popcorn every night. Every night. Pisces and Scorpios are a perfect match. We're both water signs. I'm not a huge listen, I was into astrology for a very long time, and I'm not anymore, but I always wanted to make sure that whoever I married was my right astrological sign. So I knew growing up I needed to either marry a Pisces or a Cancer. And for the longest time, my boyfriends were Aquariuses, and they were horrible matches for me. Pisces are a good match. They're very emotional compared to Aries. Do not work with me either. So when I found him and he was a Pisces, I was like, okay, right sign.
Oh, Will. Sorry, Peter, that I just assumed that was your comment. I don't know why I just assumed that comment that Will put up with something. I don't know why I just did that. Sorry, Peter. Oh boy. Oh. Oh, I'm in trouble.
Right sign. Pisces are very emotional. I didn't work with the worst boyfriend I ever had was a Cancer. So I never wanted to be with Cancer after that. I try not to be super into astrology anyway, but I used to be so into astrology. I used to do people's charts. I know my whole I know my entire, whatever that is, like you have your whole astrology with all of your planets and everything. I have all of that. So I'm a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio sun, I'm a Pisces moon, and I'm a Libra rising. And apparently, because my Libra rising is an earth sign, is that right? Libras are earth, right? Libras are earth. Natal chart, yeah. I have a lot of Sagittarius in my moon.
Good, I'm glad I'm Cancer.
Like, equitable part of me that are in my planets. But are Libras an earth sign? Libras are air, okay. So I'm water and air, right? Because Pisces is also water. But Libra is the sign of like balance and justice. And Scorpios are supposed to be very like fiery and emotional and temperamental, very loyal. What you see is what you get. Nobody fucks with somebody's friend that has Scorpio as a friend. Like, you don't fuck with somebody's friend if you're a Scorpio. Tough, sensitive, but don't want to show it. So very like intuitive, can read people really well. But there's always been a part of me where I was like, I can see that, but I also have this like equitable part of me that constantly is seeking justice and seeking balance in my life. And that, I was told, is the Libra rising. Who knew? Because the Libra is the scales. They like balance.
Well, I'm Libra. I'm the Libra. So. Oh boy, that is hilarious. Oh. Rufus says, oh, you're safe from KJ Fox. Yes, he is. I don't know what the rising does. That is the Libra rising is the balance and the justice. Yeah. I have this whole part of my body that's about equality, balance, seeing both sides, creating harmony, not dividing people. So my story about Geminis is like my very best friend from college was a Libra. And she was like the sweetest, most creative. I love her still to this day. She has the best, warmest, most positive energy. She's just a beautiful human being. Oh, dear me.
She's just such a loving human being. She's just very like, she gives hugs. She loves to like just get into your soul and have good conversations. And she married a Gemini, and he was such a jerk. So now I just hate Geminis. He was always cheating on her. Libras are easy. Geminis are complex. He was so charming, you guys. He was the most charming human being. So muscular and attractive and like so charming, but then he was so degrading at the same time. And my friend who married him and had a child with him is the most beautiful human being on the entire planet. Would never hurt a fly, would never hurt a soul, would never. She just is the most loving human being in the world. Gemini, I can't stand myself. Everyone hates Geminis. Oh. I also like Aries women. Dude, my grandma was a Taurus and I hated her. What does that say?
Is that the one?
I don't hate all Geminis. I'm just saying that my experience with one Gemini and how he hurt my best friend marked my Gemini experience. I had two boyfriends that were Aquariuses. They were so deeply creative and so flaky and so incredibly nomadic and unable to make commitments to anything, and I don't like that. That was my experience with two boyfriends that were Aquariuses.
Wow, how exciting. How riveting is all of this, hey? She knows something about astrology but doesn't know Adrapast or something. Yeah, well, as earlier we were talking about the fact that they made an announcement today about Brian Houston. They had 2 complaints from women.
My son's a Libra, which is amazing. He's very Libra. He's very Libra. He's very balanced. He likes things his way, very specific.
Well, that's not balanced.
Good or bad.
If you want things your way, that's not being balanced, my dear. Sorry.
You walked away from your abusers this week. I am so proud of you, Melissa. Good job. You're a Libra and you're very particular. So yeah, my son's very particular. Oh yeah, Playboy. Did you guys watch the Playboy stuff? Oh my goodness. The Secrets of Playboy is intense. Okay, can I just bring something up? I don't know why. I said full stop the other day. Full stop. And I've said this word for years. Full stop. I feel like I heard this on some British show. And I've been saying it for years. And someone tried to tell me that I was appropriating another culture by saying full stop. Is that? I was like, what? I've never heard full stop being an appropriation word. Am I appropriating a culture? I always heard British people say it. It's like saying period. Full stop. They said I was appropriating African American culture.
Period has a different meaning here. Sorry, but it does.
It's full stop. Really? Full stop comes from Morse code. You say it in Australia. Yeah, I've always heard it as a British thing.
What?
Did you guys ever watch that show Faulty Towers?
It wasn't on Faulty Towers. Yeah, full stop is what we put at the end of sentences. We don't say it. Ugh. She's not gonna mess up Faulty Towers, is she? That's one of my favorite shows. Just shout out Leviticus. What? Do I have to look up Leviticus 4:22, Rufus?
I've heard it as a British thing. Did you guys ever watch that show, like Faulty Towers? Yes, it comes from Britain. I looked it up after the fact, and I was like, it actually originated in Britain or UK.
Don't mention the war. So Leviticus 4:22 says, when a leader sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the commands of the Lord his God, when he realizes his guilt, this is verse 23, and the sin he has committed becomes known, he must bring as his offering a male goat without defect. It sounds like there's a party across the road that I'm missing out on. So anyway. She better not mess up Faulty Towers. She better not mess up. You see no goats at Hillsong?
AAVE word. Okay, but how can you? So words don't. Some words I understand are words that I should not say, but colloquial words that we use. I know. I mean, listen. Did you guys watch the Rachel? Remember that lady Rachel Dolezal? That woman was appropriating culture. It depends on the context. But I say full stop all the time.
Are you good to talk about anything?
I mean, I don't know. I'm certainly not going to use offensive words. Rachel Dolezal, oh my gosh, and she changed her name to something from Africa because she identified as black.
You've been swearing your head off.
She said she was trans.
You've been swearing your head off.
How is it appropriation to use words that I use constantly anyway? So we can't use English language? I'm very confused by this. She got her hair permed regularly. She was on the wasn't she like on the NCAAP chapter in Spokane? Yes, and she tanned. Everyone says full stop, right?
No!
NAACP. Yeah. Didn't I say that? What did I say?
I think everybody knew what you meant, but you just kind of transposed some of the letters in the acronym.
Oh, I'm sorry, NAACP. That's what I meant. What did I say?
It doesn't matter. Everybody knows what you meant.
I'm sorry. Full stop. Who is the lady from Australia that put all the melanin in her body that turned herself black. Who is that lady? Is she from the UK?
Hang on. She just said, who's the lady from Australia? And now she's saying, is she from the UK? KJ, you do realize that they're in different parts of the world. Australia is not UK.
Oh, I'm sorry if I said NCAA. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. My brain is so tired. I meant NAACP. Sorry about that. Okay. There was a lady in Britain or Australia. She literally
A woman in Britain or Australia. Are we back to the Russia isn't China business?
injected melanin to look black, and she says that, oh gosh, what is her name? She looks so... She pisses people off everywhere because of this. She's usually in the tabloids in the UK because of it. I think she's on a reality show. Thanks, hey now.
Mars isn't Pluto.
Okay. Martina Big.
No, Will, we've learnt that UK and Australia are apparently are the same. The water isn't dry. Oh dear. We've learnt that KJ doesn't quite know the difference between UK and Australia.
I can't remember what her name is. Oh, she's so ridiculous. She's so ridiculous.
Her name's Katie Joy.
She's like she's convinced herself that she's black, even though she's not. No, she's from the UK. She looks, it's so, yeah, it's bad. Okay. Martina. Oh, it's so bad. That is mental illness. I love House of Nails. You changed your picture, House of Nails. Yes, so she identifies as black. That is the dumbest thing. Like, you would, These dancers are over 21. Why should we care?
Most people that are involved in cults are over 21.
So House of Nails used to have this funny picture. It was a guy, and I know you're not a guy because I've looked at your page before because I love your nail. I love your name, but you had a funny picture of a guy as your profile picture, and I just noticed you changed your name. And you bring good commentary to my comment section, which is what I like.
Oh, so stalking.
Remember when Kim tried to make her Skims line be kimono? That was like the most offensive thing, I think. One of the most offensive. Oh, I'm sorry that he passed away. The picture of him it was a goofy picture though, right? Like he was being funny in the picture. Like it always made me laugh because he had a funny face. Not that it was like a funny picture. I hope that makes sense. My husband needs some attention. Yeah, I can't remember what it, I don't know. It was but you did change your picture, and I'm sorry for the loss of your husband. Okay, so why should we care about people? Okay, first of all, why should we care about people? There's children involved in this cult, whether you can see them or not. They're involved. There was children involved in this cult when this was happening in the early 2000s. There's women that are being exploited. There's people. I think what pisses me off the most about what Robert Shin is doing, if I'm going to be completely honest, is he exploited. First of all, he's a a Korean man who's from Canada. He's not from.
Oh, there's his crime.
My understanding, I believe like maybe his parents are Korean immigrants, but he is not actually like I believe he was born in Canada.
Oh, so is she trying to say he's not really Korean? Because that's horrible. Is that what she's saying?
But ancestrally he is Korean. But what he did when he came to LA was he preyed on Korean immigrants and people that were vulnerable. Now he has targeted Black men, which I think is abhorrent. He found James, who had just come out of a cult and was dealing with a divorce and sort of an unstable place of coming off of losing on a reality show, World of Dance. Didn't necessarily know what his next step was. Same with Concrete. Whose brother had just passed away and who had grew up in a very unstable, like he's gone through a lot of economic hardships. And these were just like guys that were just looking for a way out of their situations. Men that are already at risk of dangerous confrontations with police. I mean, is it more dangerous for any other population than an African-American man and woman when it comes to police? There's already so much stacked against the population that he's targeting, and he is exploiting them in a way that is so despicable. And then he's using them in a way that actually pisses me off, because he's playing into stereotypes of Black men by effectively using them to recruit women so that they end up looking like pimps. And it's disgusting to me, because this is Robert Shin, a Korean man, doing this, exploiting Black men. And then he's turning anyone that is concerned for them into racists when he's actually being the racist. How is it a serious accusation to say that he's turning them into recruiters? That's true. So he's exploiting an already vulnerable population that's at risk of such unheard of racism and violence. And it's disgusting.
Gee whiz, this went on for ages, didn't it?
So remember that guy Tight Eyes? He ended up going with Tommy the Clown, who started a crumping community, and that's still going on to this day. They have saved a lot of kids. That shinny guy, I don't know. Tight Eyes was doing a lot better, and he was on a much better track in his life, but he's got pulled into this group now, and it was because his brother passed away. So the men are recruiting actively. That's factual. I've spoken to at least 4 female dancers that Tight Eyes tried to recruit. They're also trying to recruit males, but they're really focused on women right now because they don't have a lot of women dancers. But also, something I learned is that the women in this group are supposed to be super submissive, and that's why Miranda's like walking around like a doe in a deer in headlights and making like James is taking over and controlling everything. If she's sitting in Teslas, they're renting Teslas because they're not in her name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they'll try to get the women pregnant. It's just, and if you look at the numbers, have you guys looked at the social media numbers of the women compared to the men in that group? They don't care about the female dancers at all. At all. Have you looked? Aubrey has like over 2 million, and I think Slavic has 3, maybe. The highest female dancer has 1.2. Kendra has just over 100,000. I think Kylie just hit 100,000, and I don't know if Alexandra has 100,000.
See you, the fox.
If she's sitting in Teslas, they're renting Teslas because they're not in her name. And I'm sure they'll try to get the women pregnant. It's just, and if you look at the numbers, have you guys looked at the social media numbers of the women compared to the men in that group? They don't care about the female dancers at all. At all. Have you looked? Aubrey has like over 2 million, and I think Slavic has 3, maybe. The highest female dancer has 1.2. Kendra has just over 100,000. I think Kylie just hit 100,000, and I don't know if Alexandra has 100,000.
I'm going to call it a night soon myself, so.
Which is really weird in the dance world. But I do want to say something to those people in Crump World. There's some awesome fucking dancers and guys in the Crump World that are like, have helped me so much and are so nice, and they're so helpful, and they just care about the community not getting infected again by another cult, and they just want to protect the community from this happening again. And I think, you know, the beauty in all of this is that there are people in this world that care so much about Crump and dance that they want to help other people. The men and women that I've spoken to from Crump are just the kindest souls. And, you know, it's funny, there's this one guy, and like, I go to his page and he looks so tough. And I know, like, with some of the Crump battles, it's very testosterone driven. I've watched some of the battles. It's very, like, it's tough, right? And they look tough, and then they're just like the gentlest souls. It's so cute. You know the Crump World, and they don't care about the cult. Well, I'm not saying the whole Crump World cares about the cult. I'm saying there are people in the Crump World that do care about the cult that don't want it to happen again. So.
Can't hear Crump without thinking Crump.
Okay, but I have people from Crump in my inbox telling me that they care. So I'm not speaking for the entire Crump community. I'm speaking for the people that do care. There are people that care.
Don't disagree with her. She won't like it.
The cult, why are you in my... If you're in the Crump community and you don't care about the cult, why are you watching my video?
To argue with you.
They don't care, but they're here. I speak about it incorrectly because I said that there are beautiful people that cared about it that are watching me. That doesn't make sense. And you're here. Oh my God.
Bye-bye, whoever you are.
Bye.
Oh, she's so predictable.
Prove me.
I said bye, whoever you
I
are.
never talked to Prissy, so I don't know why he's bringing up Prissy. But isn't it weird that he said he doesn't care about a cult, but he's in a live talking about a cult? Yeah, someone told me that tight eyes didn't really create crumb. I don't know. Trolls are weird, aren't they? I didn't talk to Prissy. I shared her live. They are called trolls for a reason.
Yeah, I'm going to call it quits after this video because I've had enough. She's driven me crazy. Oops, we may as well end on that big yawn. All right, I might have to do a part 2 tomorrow. I have to come back tomorrow and finish it off. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. That was a really good night. So we found out that Google has admitted to the videos being defamatory, and it looks like that it's going to be a settlement in the way of Bruz's favor, which surprises me. We've got the issues with Hillsong Church of Brian Houston. So now there's allegations that they've covered up some of those. Oh no, look at my hair. Look, it's a mess. That they've covered up the allegations. They've just come public. And yeah, everything's a bit of a mess. But yeah, so the trial starts on Monday for Bruz versus Google. But as I said, it looks like it's just going to be a settlement. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me. If you made it right through, it would seem that way, and Andrew, it would seem that way, which just surprises me. But it's funny because His Honor really just said he wanted to hear all the evidence. So there's one witness for Google, where there's one person speaking on Google's behalf, and all the rest are for Bruz, and they're all for character. They're all character witnesses. So we also discovered. That there are some questions being asked about Bruz's funding arrangements as well, because there seems to be some stuff that he had an under the table fund that he gave money to send. Like everything else around this would indicate that there is questions to be answered, but yet he's suing over the term corrupt con man. And there are questions. I mean, if ICAC happens to discover that he's corrupt, for example, then Google would have been correct. I don't know. It just is really weird how it all works out. But anyway, that's all at the start of the video. But thank you for joining me. As I said, I'll see if I can get on tomorrow. We'll see how we go. I've got a bit of study to do. But we might do part 2 of KJ tomorrow. But that was just riveting, wasn't it? I can't believe people sit and watch that. I mean, we just watched it, but it's so much easier to watch it with friends, though. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.